The longest paths often lead to the most breathtaking forest clearings, but they almost never look that way at the beginning. At the trailhead, everything is loud. Boots scrape against stone. Voices overlap. People point toward the marked overlook, the easy loop, the view that can be reached before the body has time to complain. And because everyone is gathered there, it feels like that must be the reward. That is one of life's oldest tricks. It makes the accessible thing look like the final thing. Most people do not quit because they are weak. They quit because the first reward is close enough to convince them they have already gone far enough. They reach the overlook, take a breath, look around, and call it wisdom. But beyond that place, the forest keeps going, past the signs, past the benches, past the noise of the crowd, past the part of the path where progress is still visible to other people. And that is where the real journey begins. The first mile after comfort is usually ugly. Not cinematic, not inspiring, just effort. The legs burn before the mind understands why. The lungs tighten. The pack feels heavier than it did at the start. Every root on the ground becomes a question. Every uphill turn becomes an invitation to turn back. This is the part of discipline no one claps for. When you are starting over, when you are building something slowly, when the result is not visible yet, life feels exactly like this stretch of trail. You are moving, but the forest does not open. You are trying, but the view does not change. You are doing the right things, but nothing around you has become beautiful yet. That is when most people start looking over their shoulder. They remember the crowd. They remember the easy overlook. They remember the people who stopped early and still looked happy. And for a moment, the mind whispers, maybe they were right. Maybe this is too much. Maybe the hidden clearing is just a story people tell themselves to make suffering feel meaningful. But endurance is not built when the path is easy. Endurance is built in the space where quitting makes sense. Every long path has a moment where the noise disappears. At first, it feels like loneliness. The voices behind you fade. The trail narrows. The forest grows thicker. There is no audience, no comparison, no immediate proof that you are ahead. Only breath, only footsteps. Only the sound of your own persistence meeting the ground again and again. And slowly, something changes. Fatigue stops being an enemy and becomes a rhythm. The body still hurts, but the panic leaves it. The mind stops shouting and starts listening. The same silence that felt empty begins to feel protective. The trees are no longer obstacles. They are witnesses. The narrow path is no longer punishment. It is removing everything that was distracting you from yourself. This is why the longest paths matter. They do not just take you somewhere. They strip away the parts of you that could not have survived the clearing anyway. The impatience, the need to be seen, the craving for fast proof, the addiction to easy signs, the belief that if something is meant for you, it should arrive without resistance. The forest teaches a harder truth. Some places only reveal themselves to the version of you that kept walking. There is a kind of clarity that cannot be reached from the trailhead. You cannot hear it while standing in the crowd. You cannot earn it by choosing the path everyone can finish. It waits beyond the point where your old reasons stop working. It waits beyond the moment when motivation disappears and only discipline remains. The easy path vanishes. Branches lean into the trail. The ground softens. The map becomes less useful. You cannot see far enough ahead to feel certain. You only know the direction. And in life, this is the season that scares people most. The season where nobody understands what you are doing. The season where your work is private. The season where your progress is invisible. The season where you are too far from the beginning to go back unchanged, but not close enough to the reward to feel safe. This is not failure. This is the middle. The middle is where most meaningful things are made. Bodies are changed there. Skills are built there. Confidence is earned there. Careers are rebuilt there. Faith returns there, not as a loud feeling, but as a quiet decision to take another step when there is no guarantee. And then, without announcing itself, the forest begins to shift. A little more light touches the ground. The air feels wider. The trees loosen their grip. What was dense becomes spacious. What was heavy becomes still. You do not arrive all at once. You notice the clearing first as a possibility, then as a glow, then as an opening, and suddenly you understand why the easy overlook was not enough. The clearing is different because it did not come cheaply. Its silence has weight. Its beauty feels earned. You do not simply see it. You recognize it. because the path carves something into you on the way there. This is what long-term discipline does. It changes the reward by changing the person who receives it. The same clearing would have meant less to the version of you who wanted comfort. It means more now because you know what it cost. The peace is deeper because you remember the noise. The light is brighter because you walked through the shadow. The stillness is sacred because you did not quit when the trail stopped making promises. There is also a reason the forest feels wiser the farther you go. At the beginning, the world is full of measurement. How fast are you moving? How far have you gone? How many people are ahead of you? How many people can see your progress? The trailhead teaches comparison because everyone is still standing close enough to count. But deep in the woods, those numbers lose their power. You stop measuring your life by the speed of other people. You stop asking whether your path looks impressive from a distance. You stop needing the noise to confirm that you matter. The forest does not care how quickly you arrived. It only responds to presence. It asks for attention. It asks for patience. It asks you to notice the things you are moving too fast to see. The way light rests on wet leaves. The way silence has layers. The way your breathing becomes steadier when you stop fighting the distance. The way an ordinary step can become a promise. This is where a person begins to understand the difference between escaping life and entering it more fully. The long path is not a retreat from ambition. It is ambition purified. It removes the need to look successful and leaves only the willingness to become strong. It takes the dream out of the crowd and places it somewhere sacred, somewhere quiet, somewhere that cannot be reached by pretending. That is why shortcuts often disappoint us. They can take us to a view, but they rarely make us ready to receive it. They can give us a result, but they cannot give us depth. They can place us in the clearing, but they cannot make us the kind of person who understands why the clearing matters. The longer road gives you something the easy road cannot, a relationship with your own endurance. You learn that tired does not always mean finished. You learn that slow does not always mean wrong. You learn that being unseen is not the same as being unsuccessful. And somewhere in the rhythm of continuing, you stop begging the path to become easier and start becoming someone who can walk it. So if you are tired right now, do not assume you are lost. You may simply be past the part where the crowd can follow. If your life feels slow, if your dream feels hidden, if your work feels unnoticed, if the path ahead seems overgrown and unfair, understand this. The most profound clarity often arrives after the easy paths vanish. Keep walking. Not because every step feels good, not because you can see the clearing yet, not because the crowd understands. Keep walking because the person you are becoming can only be formed on this kind of path. The longest path is not proof that you are behind. It may be proof that you are being led somewhere quieter, deeper, and more beautiful than the places people reach by accident. Leave the noise behind. Let fatigue become rhythm. Let the forest teach you patience. And when the clearing finally opens, you will not just be standing in a beautiful place. You will be standing as someone who earned the silence.